Hi, I haven't had so far any volunteers to fill in the form for the Dorje Trowo Mo, but I'm keeping an eye on it. You never know if somebody decides to insert their name in there and domain of question for the Mo. Otherwise, well, I'm going to test it live again, uh, f- and I'm going to ask it to raise my practice from yesterday. So, bearing in mind that this practice got a bit more complicated than it used to be. It used to be just Gapo and Dorje Trowo, but since I've got Guru Rinpoche Tanka over there and from the temple and the Chinese Tanka over there also, I meant to go into the temple and buy just a Chinese Tanka because they did Chinese practice at the temple, and so I wanted to practice at home as well. And they only had this little Tonka of Chinese, so I took this one. But the Guru Rinpoche, the big one, it sort of screamed at me that he wanted to go home with me and that not to leave him there. So I thought, okay, I'm not leaving it here. It's just like a stray cat or something. You go to a shelter and you go for one cat and you go home with two. Well, that's the same that happened with the Tonkas. So I was not expecting on practicing Guru Rinpoche, but since I have the Tanka here, I thought I might as well have an altar for him and a bit of practice for him every day. And so it was really cool to find this book. Mipam was lotus about the 7 night prayer because I had already woven the prayer into my practice for Tokalpo and Dorje Trowo, and then I thought, well, then there's going to be a separate practice for Guru Rinpoche, and since it's a bit too complicated to do them separately, then I do just one big practice of 2 hours a day with those three altars, and yeah, so that's how my practice got more complicated. So it's even more important now to ask the Mo to rate it because now I've got the three of them. So I need to understand if there is something wrong with the practice. I need to understand which section of the practice it was, if it was for Chenrezig, if it was for Guru Rinpoche, or if it was for Tukalpo and Dorje Trowo. There we go. See if anybody else signed up on the phone. No. Okay, no problem. I did say if it was some French people I talked to about signing up, I would speak French, but mm, there are subtitles on YouTube. So let's go. I, as usual, wrote the question down, asking the dice to rate the whole practice, and then because I did a special invocation to reconnect with my guide here home. I want also feedback from the dice on this. So it's really handy to have those dice when you have a daily spiritual practice, and I think it works for any practice. I don't care if you not a Buddhist or if you're Wiccan or if you or Luciferian or whatever. I think it works for every spiritual practice. Of course, it has a wrathful angle, but otherwise, it will work for every practice, I think. Anyway, I'm gonna have to do the mantras first because before asking a question to the dice, you have to do the mantras. So if you have two questions, you do the mantras twice. So that's what I'm gonna do today. I have two questions, so I can't just do the mantras once and then cast twice the dice, once for each question. You have to do mantras. So here we go. Omye dalma itu pawa itun teken tatagato ayawata teken seunyo dan wadi mashama so. Omye dalma itu pawa itun teken tatagato ayawata teken seunyo dan wadi mashama so. Omye dalma itu pawa itun teken tatagato ayawata teken seunyo dan wadi mashama so. Omye dalma itu pawa itun teken tatagato ayawata teken seunyo dan wadi mashama so. Omyadama Ituba, Itun taken to Tagatoya, what I taken Sailor than what Dimashman so. Omyadama Ituba, Itun taken to Tagatoya, what I taken Sailor than what Dimashman so. Omyadama Ituba, Itun taken to Tagatoya, what I taken Sailor than what Dimashman so. And then Dorje Trowo, Dorje Trowo Mo, 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 Dorje Trowo Mo. Okay, now the question. Guys, please rate the efficiency of last night's Chandrazik and Guru Rinpoche to Kalpo Dorje Trowo practice. It's a bit long-winded, but there we go. Okay, and the answer was, I'm going to show you. The answer I got was here. So we read the golden one first, and the golden one is a hung. I think it's the right way. Yeah, and the second one is a ri. So I got hung ri for the practice, which is excellent. It's one of the best you could get, I think, because it combines obviously the elements of lightning and of light in itself only. So it has the lightning as a basis. So let's have a look in the book. It's the last syllable because it's the seed syllable. Hungry. There it is. There it is. So it says, intentions and aims. Your aims are blessed with clarity and force together. Success is not only certain, but arrive with brilliance and speed. This is one of the strongest signs of a favorable outcome. So it is one of the best readings you could possibly get. Spiritual practice. Wrathful compassion is at its height. Practice is radiant and powerful. Results come swiftly, and both worldly and spiritual aims are accomplished. So normally I'm on track with the practice. So I think it was a good idea to combine all the practices together because I think it's stronger. In the illness category, because I am sick with the MS as a you should know if you've been watching this channel. So healing is strongly supported. Illness is quickly dispersed by the union of clarity and wrath. Treatment works fast, aided by blessing. Yeah, it's true that I have resumed my Tizabri treatment. I had missed 2 treatments earlier this year, and that's why I had such a strong flare towards April. Flare started in October last year, and it went on increasingly because I switched treatment. I was already on a flare, and then I missed 2 treatments in February and March, and I only resumed them in April. So that's why Tizabri is a much better treatment for MS than Gilenia, which I had before. So evil spirits, you never know. They are destroyed completely. Light and thunder strike as one. There is no place left for them to remain. No, I don't feel any problems with evil spirits. We had a lot at the hospital because the hospital history was complicated. It was built by the French in 1936 as a mental health facility, but then it was invaded, used by the German as a prisoner of war camp. So it was there was torture in it. There were really awful things in this building going on, and then the Americans came over and took over the building and made it a hospital, a field hospital. So that was the history of the building, and then it was back turned into a hospital, and the numbers of spirits in there, it was incredible, and they were tortured. So that's why I covered my head all the time when I was in there because there were just too many things, plus the problems of people. Well, it is a hospital, as they say in German, Krankenhaus. So that's the house of the sick. So you're surrounded by sick people all the time. So of course, if you're sensitive to some pieces of information flying around. You want to cover your head, I think. Well, that's why I did it anyway. So that's for the first part. First question. So I'm going to show you the book again. As you can see, it has different categories. It's useful to look at them all because all those categories are connected. Usually, when you are under the influence of a set of syllables, like hungry or any of the combinations in there, it pervades all areas of your life. So you will notice a strong dynamic in the same direction, but affecting all areas of your life. Usually, when things go well, they go well in things that don't look interconnected, but are. That's why we do the mantras of interdependent origination before the readings. That's something I took from obviously Desmo. I really modeled mine on this one, except really the only difference is not the same. It's not the same deity you have. So for the second question, then, which I also wrote down, I asked. I need to write down. Sorry, I need to write down the answer, which was whom he. For the first question. I used to write the whole definition under the questions, but now because I've decided to really memorize them better, I only write the ocean syllables on the reply. So that was Hungry. Well, I'm chuffed because it's a really good reading. Since I got back from hospital, I've had very mild readings for my practice. It was always expect slow but steady progresses, keep the routine going. And this one, it stands out because hungry is a lot more powerful. So I've written it in notebook. I can move on to the second question. So that was about the efficiency of the invocation I did to reconnect with my guide, because obviously my guide, I had to cut myself from him while I was in hospital. It's not a place for spiritual work. I try to avoid spiritual work, but I went in with my runes, and in fact, they served me well. They were an excellent distraction from everything that was going on at the hospital. And at the same time, they allowed me to focus on some aspects of life at the hospital, such as why a patient was taking drugs, for example. Um, I had this patient who became a friend, Sylvain. He came in. He was in a really bad way, and my runes just prompted me to go over to him and draw one of them to him, and it was Mana's reversed. And so I told him that the problem came from his father, and it turns out that his father is one of those perverse, narcissistic people. Sorry, I had to cut my phone only rings when it's inconvenient around here. So yeah, so his father was apparently a, a big problem in his life, and really led him to drugs via manipulation and so on, from what I understood. So the runes really struck home with this reading, and it clicked, and he gave up on tobacco, he gave up on a lot of habits, and he had this thing with the marriage, yeah, proposal from another patient who, yeah, I thought they were going to get married. Turned out it was not such a good idea after all, and I'm really glad not to be the witness of that particular wedding, but it was a fun story, and I think it ended really well for Sylvain. And me, we had a good laugh about it. So Now, second question. So I have to do again the mantras. So forgive me while I do this. And then I can ask the second question to the Mo. And then I think we will, I'm going to check the form again, see if anybody else has questions. No. I don't even know if those form works. So will you let me know in the comments if you try to fill in the form and it doesn't work? Because that could be the case. I'm not very technologically advanced, as you might have noticed. I use technology, well, AI is a lot, but I'm crap with computers. So anyway, let's start with the mantras for the second question. Om Yadamai tu Bhavai Tuntikan Tatagatai Watatikan Sernia Dam Udimashama So Om Yadamai tu Bhavai Tuntikan Tatagatai Watatikan Sernia Dam Udimashama So Om Yadamai tu Bhavai Tuntikan Tatagatai Watatikan Sernia Dam Udimashama So Om Yadamai tu Bhavai Tuntikan Tatagatai Watatikan Sernia Dam Udimashama So Om Yadamai tu Bhavai Tuntikan Tatagatai Watatikan Sernia Dam Udimashama So Om Yadamai tu Bhavai Tuntikan Tatagatai Watatikan Sernia Dam Udimashama So Om Dorje Trowo Mo, 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 Om Dorje Trowo Mo. Okay, so I didn't ask the question, but I had written it down. I was thinking about it. So, read the efficiency of the chakra, Vajrakilaya invocation to for connection, for the connection with the guide. And so, I'm gonna show you what the dice said. So the dice said, sorry, uh, Tro, which is a reading that I already got before. So let's have a look. Dorje Trowo. So here is the book. So it says spiritual practice. Wrathful methods are effective here. Transformation through sharp energy. This is the fierce wind that disperses confusion. Illness again, because it's not really like an illness. The fact that I blocked my guide for 2 months, but it is the result of the fact that I was not well. The sickness is like a demon hiding. Sudden strong measures can drive it out. Yeah, that's what we're doing with the tisabri. Swift intervention is advised rather than gentle remedies. Yeah, I noticed. I noticed that with this disease, you can't really. You have to go for the strongest treatment, apparently, and not miss it, unlike what I did. So, evil spirits, just in case, they scatter before wrath, strike without hesitation, the Vajra flame burns them. So, okay, as I said, we don't have here that many problems with them as in a hospital, but so I don't notice them, but if I do see any, obviously, I know what to do. I have a poison removal procedure, also an invocation in Mongolian to remove poisons. I've tried it on a few persons as well as myself, but it's a long story, and I've lost the notebooks where I had the notes. I think my mother took them. She took several things from my flat, so anyway, and other matters when you face worldly hindrances, forceful action is needed. Do not hesitate or compromise. The path opens by shock, not by negotiation. Oh yeah, I noticed that on several occasions. Yeah. So the tone is explosive, uncompromising, like a sudden thunderclap that clears the sky. So both the readings for the practice and for the invocation that I did were extremely clear that now things are unblocked. Compared to the earlier readings that I did, I recorded one or two of them on here, which showed that things were moving very slowly as we got readapted to re-entering the practice after several months of pausing the practice, which I shouldn't have done. I was terrible idea to pause the practice in January. Can't remember if it was late December or early January that I paused the practice. I should not have done that. Some things you just don't press pause. Some things you just keep going with them, and I think that's the case with this practice. Okay, I'm gonna end the stream here.